State Assembly women, congressmen, the representatives of the Congressman's office. Welcome to Hmong 50 years here in the County of Merced. It is an honor for me to stand on this stage today before all of you to join in the festivities and the celebration of 50 years of freedom, as I stated at the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Hmong Americans all across our great nation. And to our elected officials who may not know the history of our people all too well, and terms that are repetitive today, you'll hear of SGU and General Vang Pao and Hmong itself. But it's really fitting today as I stand up on this stage in the venue that we are at Castle Air Force Base. It used to be Air Force Base, now it's just Castle Airport, I believe. But General Frederick Castle, during World War II, led a squadron of B-17s against the forces of evil in Europe as tyranny raged across Europe. And that fight was for one main reason: freedom itself. And so it's very fitting and suiting for us to hold the Hmong 50 years here at Castle Airport today, as the Hmong also fought for the same exact principle and value 50 years ago. And just 2 days ago, as Brigadier General Castle led his squadron across Europe, and he died with honor in the name of freedom, we marked victory in Europe over fascism and Nazism and extremism, and what I like to dub the forces of evil. Not knowing 30 years later down the road, an Iron Curtain rose in the East, and our great United States of America would call upon one gentleman in a Southeast Asian nation of Laos called Vang Pao. And in 1961, that's 65 years ago, through the Kennedy administration and the prior administration before that was the President Dwight D. Eisenhower administration, authorized the CIA to come and look for Vang Pao, my father. Yep, we should applaud. That is our very beginning of why we have today. And so thus, an agreement was shook through a handshake between a Hmong gentleman by the name of Vang Pao and a gentleman by the name of Belair, who happened to be from Texas with a slow Texan drawl accent. Really slow talker, but he was a bright man. And the moment he met my father, and these are accounts of my father personally telling me, Belair knew he had the right man to carry on the mission that the United States wanted the Hmong, through my father, General Vang Pao, to do, and they did so with valor, with honor, with dignity for 15 years, from 61 to 75. And that is where we come today, to celebrate 50 years of freedom. We fought, as we pledged allegiance earlier to the United States flag, our flag, Old Glory, the Star-Spangled Banner, Stars and Stripes, name it what you may, but it is the very flag, banner, and symbol of freedom that we all cherish, that intertwines us today and will so into the future. As we pledge allegiance today, the Hmong Lao veterans of General Vang Pao back in 1961 pledged their loyalty and allegiance to the United States of America then. And our journey here was not easy. As policies shifted, the global dynamics kicked in, the US and our allies withdrew from Southeast Asia, the Hmong were left behind, but our friends, our American friends, did not abandon us. Today, I want to acknowledge and pay tribute to a very important man. Actually, there's two gentlemen. I know there's a whole team of them. These were CIA case officers that worked very closely with my father throughout those 15 years. Their eyewitness accounts were vital in terms of information coming back to Washington, D.C. of the successes of General Vang Pao's leadership and the Hmong soldiers in this conflict during the Vietnam War. The two gentlemen that I want to acknowledge as we celebrate 50 years here today. The very first, Mr. Jerry Daniels, who tragically passed away in Thailand back in 1982. The second, Mr. Lionel Rosenblatt. These two persons were key instruments in lobbying and advocating and educating the Hmong story to our elected U.S. lawmakers back then about who the Hmong were. Because many in the American public in 75 didn't know who the Hmong were. Many still don't today. But that's okay, because our story is now being told. And as I stated in our past event last weekend, let's not make the U.S. Secret Army, which they're sitting right there, any longer secretive. Let's tell it as it is. So it is to our SGU veterans. SGU stands for Special Guerrilla Units. That was the name designated by the Central Intelligence Agency. And that classified the Hmong soldiers that fought on behalf of our great nation during the Vietnam conflict. And the CIA would dub my father a code name too by the name of White Star. Lung bay la ti ro pe chi thane pon ya chi no ko da ya pe cha tu ton no ko da ye tho te ni cha CPU ni cha sa tong ton de te ha te ya no ko da hu tua so sang ko ni tua pho lo sang nya hong da lo te na go yi pa phong ko lo no ko da chi ya pe chi thane pon de shi no na ku ya mo ti hai ya kha da ning. To the youth, as we celebrate 50 years, I'm talking past, present, and future now. And I reach out to the youth with my historical story, but let this be words of inspiration and motivation for us to continue where our ancestors, where our forebears, where our elders left off. And to be honest, they did the hard part. This is the easy part now. They went through thick and thin, through strife and suffering and pain to get us to this great land, which I dubbed the Promised Land. And they went through their sacrifice, their courage, energy, and strength to get us here today in unlocking the new life that we have in this country. So to the Hmong youth, to the young Americans, the code name White Star, as the seafarers back then, when there was no navigational systems, no satellites in orbit, no GPS, would use a star, the Polaris Star, the North Star, for navigational resources, so that they wouldn't get lost. Let the story of our elders, of our parents, of our grandparents, of General Vang Pao, from a small, remote, mountainous nation, leading our people to advance, to progress, the trailblazers that they were, the pioneers that they were, the journeys that they took, the sacrifices that they made, the risks that they take to make our lives better here today in our country. So whenever we may feel down, whenever we may lose hope, whenever we feel lost, like the seafarers and the trailblazers and the pioneers of the past, they didn't look down, they looked up into the heavens. They looked up to the Polaris Star, the North Star, to get a bearing, to get a heading. And let our youth and generation of many more to come take these words today that I speak on the stage to find inspiration and motivation to flip into the next chapter of Hmong Americans in the next 50 years. Like I said, they did the hard part, now it's the easy part for us to continue to advance our cause. And what is our cause? The freedom of our nation, the freedom of our American family and ourselves. Preserve and defend and protect that banner that waves above my head, the symbol of freedom that we cherish and value. To the youth today that our ancestors built for us, that took us to this great nation, that we are educators, We are medical doctors, we are nurses, we're law enforcement, we serve in the armed forces, to many other trades that I cannot name because 5 minutes is not enough. But today, this is the Hmong story, it is our American story, and it will continue to be our story onwards into the future. 今年对此，陆家用了全部到古海的古地那是很多更高了，就是好像陆清古的古，นู่นเนาะยัยนู่นรงเชียตัวไปเจริญห้องเจอตัวไปห้องมีกาซึไปให้เนื้อห้องท่องกันดูคือคู่ว่าห้องเย่ไปยังห้องที่ตัวเสด็จให้เตียไปจะจบห้องว่าปอตัวเย่ไปเตารงหมดเจงเกอดิฉันกูยิ่งน้อยอีเชียกูตีปากกาไปตัวเขินรงจานรงให้แต่เลยอย่าไปห้องไปกูไปตีเทียเลยยังถือให้แต่เลยยังห้องว่าปอเทียแต่เลยจีแต่ตัวเราไปหล่อเลยแต่เลยยังห้องว่าปอเองไปสดvề cho cá sò lớn cây quả cây cho trong cái lấy ở công kia để nó sẽ phải tìm mua luôn nên mà mình mua nào mua họ mua nhiều mua chơi mua nào mua chứ mua cái chơi tới ba chỉ là cái giờ thu cái chuyện là mong không ăn được khứ nữa hôm nay cái lò lù cú giờ cái gì thằng này còn tụt tôn giờ cú pha đồ cái lúc nó mua cái này cái gì cái cho tút trò cái thằng này cho tút trò để xuyên tút trò họ cáเป็นสิทธิ์ในคนตัวมีการจะรอหรือไปติดต่อตัวช่อลาตัวตัวเตชมีการเอาตัวชีวิตเชียวลาช่อตัวนั้นเตเดียเตจีปอยลาตรงลาหายิ่งยัวปองชาจอกเกจอเย่เป็นมองเจ้าจีตันทองจอมมัวมองเกี่ยวตัวจอตัวชาติเขียวไทยตัวโจทย์สิทธิ์ในคนน้องรู้มองแต่สิทธิ์ในคนหมดตัวชาติเขียวไทยเลยซื้อหรือสิตัวเจ้าลูกเตเขียวไทยน้อยแต่สิทธิ์ในคนhọ đua mù đầu giờ tây chờ thì bản họ giải lúc tây chờ mi cả thì thằng đó tây nó tây chữ mi cả lúc mà khi họ trông rồi cái tây này tây gì bao nhiêu tuổi thì cái sự đó cho lúc tây chờ và mình nó nè cái gì lúc mi cả thì guarantee lúc lại thì nên nón giờ chỉ mua cái gì thằng này phun thì bây giờ nó lo co bây giờ tôi trò về rồi nó lúc tây chờ mi cả nó ยิ่ง chỉ là bao bên phong thì giải bên phong rồi tôi thở lọt rồi đấy bây giờ tôn do cho cái này cái gì họ sacrifice rồi tụi chiến sĩ rồi họ bù đồ bây lúc nào bây tàu rong lấy auto MC hay bây họ tàu cái lúc họ trả nó sự bây từ sát từng đầu để sự chỉ rồi Indy thì cái này cái gì cho cái sát rồi tàu cái cho nhiều nữa để họ nói bây tàu rong bỏ đi nó lúc nào họ nói chơi họ lưu hay tiền hay xíu bây rong xíu hay tiền lúc nào bây tuần gì đòn đủ để bây giờ là có thể cho bây chỉ đừng không lúc nào bây giờ thằng này còn chỉ nhớ là nếu lúc yên công yên hòa nếu lúc mình mỏng nhân đầu bây tôi tụi mình cái gì cũng đồ bây nữa vấn đề nó cũng tôi cho tên nó tên chỉ ô thì tôi lần từ cũng biết mình chỉ sư lúc nó rồi thì lấy sai cũng ít tuổi hòa lọt họ trả lời cho nó cho chữ mỹ cả lúc nó cũng chỉ ấy tôi lấy từ phía số liệu nữa thì chỉ lấy từ lấy chọn của tôi lúc sản sinh xe những vì chỉ những vì cái gì cái gì từ chưa từng gì thì cũng biết nó ta cũng chỉ mới có không plei rồi thế còn là cho cái mong ra kinh từ nó muốn nhận còn là hay ở bộ cái mong rong sao nó cái tụi cháu tha là tụi host nó Dr. J. Charles Moore cháu lấy sẽ được tua cháu cũng tua thì sự nó giờ cái cho cái sự cháu không gì còn đâu khó rồi tên nào tên chữ còn lo hay à lúc bây hay đừng mong lọp được thôi là chùa họ lu rò Atwater họ lu rò Merced cái tan thôi Merced County nó cái còn lớn mua chi là họ cái hải ta cũng tính là cái chuyện đừng mong thế nào cho lưu thì cũng trong tuổi trẻ là hay lưu là cái thì cũng chỉ hay non đâu lúc nào cái rong xiang thầu cơ nó có cái gì thằng này phun cái này cái gì cái rong thơ cho giá thầu chỉ nhận được bên nó cái chụp tút cho chỉ nhận được bên nó cái này cái gì cái cứ cái tuôn xài chỉ nhận được bên nó do sống tuôn cho cứ bên nó có bên sẽ được chuẩn bị cho cái nó cái nhà rong có bên xí sâu à mong cứ mong đi mong nông mong trả chỉ ta chỉ cơ có bên mong luôn nên cái bên mong luôn đầy giống mòn đó theo của bạn tuổi chỉ ta chỉ cơ đó nhớ rong có bên trên đường mong rong